Mr. Monroe Black.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man. How you doing?
Pretty good. How you doing?
Good. So, actually, this is the first time for you. We had Jet on the show a few years ago.
Yeah, I think I recall him mentioning it before, yeah, a while back.
Yeah. So, are you guys brothers?
Yes, we are related.
Oh, cool. Very cool. Very cool. So, the new album that came out earlier this year, the EP and all, it seems like you guys really are focusing in on this whole anime video game lifestyle and like integrating it within the music and the image and all that stuff.
Right. Well, I mean, we're not necessarily focusing on the whole like anime thing. It's more of this for storytelling purposes. I mean, one, it's a lot cheaper to do it that way as opposed to hiring a bunch of actors and trying to portray this whole dystopian future. I mean, we'd need a Hollywood budget to do it right.
Right.
So that was that aspect of that. We just thought the anime idea was just a nice touch. I haven't seen another band do it before. I'm pretty sure other bands have done some sort or form of animation, but it's just a way to portray the story to just try to make the video as clear as possible, at least for Enigma.
Right. Now, is there like a plan, like you're saying, with the story and all, to maybe like actually make stories out of that and like go like into like a comic book graphic novel type world as well, or?
I mean, if you're talking about like Kiss style with the comic books and all that stuff, but like it's an idea that popped up in our heads. Yeah, we'd be open to it. I mean, we're not opposed to it by any means, but not something we're really focused on right now. It's just like I said, the idea was just strictly for the music video. We just kind of had this concept to portray, what we feel a very like Orwellian styled future.
Right.
That society, we all see it now in the news and everything. Everybody's at each other's throats socially. So
sure,
it's just pretty much our depiction of what we think society could be heading towards. It's a scary thought, but it's something. Heavy metal is supposed to be scary, so it's supposed to be safe. If I wanted to write pop songs, I'd be in a pop band.
Yeah, you guys are not definitely a pop band.
No, I mean, there's elements of pop in our music. I'm not going to deny that. There's melody and there's structure, if you want to call that, I guess, pop. And I don't have a problem with that. I mean, a lot of metal guys are always like, fuck that or fuck pop and all that poser stuff, whatever that, that nonsense is. But it's like, there's no problem utilizing in your music. Bands like Maiden and Priest, and they utilize pop hooks in their songs.
Right.
It's all there, whether people want to admit it or not.
Absolutely. Now, also too, on the whole, comic book world and all that, and you guys actually were mentioned in a cosplay magazine I saw.
Oh yeah, we were. Yeah, that was a surprise to me too. So. I don't know. I guess they just picked up on it, and they liked the whole concept of the Anaheim for Enigma, and the 3-part story that came along with it. Yeah, I guess it just worked. I mean, I think a lot of our audience, and you got to understand, a lot of our younger audience are into into that kind of stuff, like Anaheims and video games and stuff.
Right.
It's a lot more popular than it was than even when I was a kid and stuff. Like you can walk down the street and you see billboards of some Japanese Anaheim or whatever. You'd never see that like when I was a kid. It'd be non-existent.
Right.
It was considered like nerdy or uncool, but now it's starting to gain some sort of mainstream appeal.
Yeah, it just because I actually, as a matter of fact, I'm doing some this weekend. Both of my daughters, I have 2 teenage daughters, and they're both really into that whole world and scene, and they're both artists. So we do conventions from time to time, and we're actually doing 2 different conventions this weekend. And I just, as I was going through and I'm, seeing all that stuff, and I'm thinking to myself, man, it would just be a great tie-in. Even because now even times they're having bands perform at these like Comic-Cons and stuff like that. I'm like, that would be like maybe a good avenue for you guys to go down.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely open to it. We're not opposed to it. An audience is an audience. And I think it's just a great way even to get younger people into this style of music. You got to understand, like, a lot of young people don't know what, like, all these, genres, like, they don't know what hair metal is. They don't know what glam or whatever that is, heavy metal or traditional metal, black metal, blah, blah. They don't give a shit. They don't know.
Right.
They're completely oblivious to it. But what's interesting also about the whole anime aspect, the Japanese still utilize guitar in their music. And it's somewhat of a familiar avenue for them. So you can, like, watch an anime or play a video game, and there's still some, like, rock and roll aspects and some guitar-driven songs. So it's like when they hear that and when they hear us, like, oh, okay, they can maybe put two and two together. And it attracts a younger fan base. I mean, that's another reason for it.
Right.
Those and actually, have the future.
And I've been seeing, like, you guys, you and Jed have been doing, like, these videos on YouTube where you're doing, like, these guitar covers of these different ones. And that alone, like, I'm thinking, I thought to myself, like, instantly, like, I'm like, all right, well, I can now make my daughters fans of Salems Lott because I could send those videos to them and they'll be hooked because that's what they sit and listen to is video game music and stuff like that. And it kind of baffles me, but that, that's the way I can now make them fans of you guys.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's one of the reasons why we do it. We attract that younger audience. Like I said, they don't know about this music. They don't know it exists. They're just, they're constantly being, brainwashed into liking this pop garbage that we have now on the radio, these auto-tune clowns and, like, these rappers and these mumble rappers and all this garbage. And they don't know any better. People don't have time to go search for, like, these great bands, and there's still great bands going around nowadays in the underground. The people don't have the time or the patience. So that's one way to reach to a younger audience.
Right.
And a lot of those songs, too, are just, they're fun to play. It's stuff I even grew up on as well. You got to understand, like, even my generation, we didn't grow up on, like, the cool bands, maybe the previous generation did, like, before us. We grew up with a lot of, bands that, well, at least for me, I didn't like them. So to get away, I was listening to a lot of classical music, Baroque era music, romantic, and video game music and composers like Nobuo Uematsu and all that stuff. They're like, it's just embedded in what we do, whether we know it or not.
So I mean, you listen to stuff like that. Like, how did you take that and make it into what you guys are playing? I mean, that total different ends of the spectrum there.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the source, a lot of this, video game music or anime music, whatever you want to call it, it takes a lot from classical music, without a doubt. And then I was listening to classical music since I was a kid. My mom introduced me to it. I kind of got hooked. I first hated it. I thought it was like music and just boring.
Sure.
I didn't understand it. But then eventually started growing on me because she just, that's what she did. She started taking piano lessons and all that stuff. And I started to find a niche for it. I really loved Bach, Handel, Segovia, all these guys, all these great players and composers. And eventually I got really into that stuff, started studying classical music and classical guitar and composition. And before I even came out to LA, I was planning to go to Juilliard, but, that was another story that never worked out. So I started a rock band instead. Yeah, and both Jet and I are classically trained, and I don't mean like listening to Yngwie Malmsteen classically trained. I mean like, the real deal. And we just love that stuff, and it just creeped into our music. And again, the same thing goes for the video game music. That's probably why I got attached to it as a younger kid, because you got all those old emo bands at the time when I was in school, and I thought that's what rock was. I was like, I don't like rock music. Like, this shit's gay. I don't get it. I didn't dig it at all. And so I just, hide away, listen to, classical stuff and I guess video game compositions. And I'll be like, this is like, whatever, I'll stick to this because I don't like what's going on around me. And then I found out about like bands like AC/DC and Early Crew and Rat. And then I was like, whoa, shit, this is fucking amazing. What is this? Little did I know I was 30 years too late for the party, so that's how it all started.
Now, how many instruments can you guys play? I mean, because in these videos, I'm seeing both you and Jet are playing guitar and bass in them.
Yeah, I can play. I'm just trying to think. Let's see. Piano. I consider even classical guitar a separate instrument because it's the technique.
Right.
I guess piano, classical guitar, after we play electric, bass, violin, and just trying to think. There's some other stuff in between, like, you know, the ukulele or whatever. But and I can sing. Apparently, I can. To some people, anyway, I can sing. I don't know. Good job, right? It's considered singing, but whatever. There you go.
Now, how about like Japan? Like, I can picture you guys like huge in Japan.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, that would be sick. Well, we're down for sure. But I also think people have this misconception. You got to understand, like our bass player Kay, he's from Japan, so he knows the scene there. So a lot of, I think, Americans or Westerners in general think Japan's like, oh, you know, heavy metal is still big there, and you can be crazy. But they're also, you got to understand, like, we live in the internet age and all that stuff, and with globalization and everything, people are pretty much, you know, almost the same, literally. Right. Hip-hop is still big there, too, as well. Like, a lot of people think they're going to go there and find, like, this monster fan base, but no, I mean, hip-hop and these other forms of music and pop, and they have their little J-pop and their, you know, their little corny stuff, too, and their boy bands or whatever, is very big there. So, but, yeah, you never know. I mean, we didn't start this band, you know, to jump on any bandwagon, clearly. Right. I mean, if I wanted to do that, we would just grow our beards, get some, you know, beer guts, and just, you know, play straightforward, whatever metal, and look like, you know, bums. And that's what would work. But we don't, you know, we don't want to do that. There's the whole aspect of the rock star that's missing, and I think that's why people lost the appeal with rock music in general, and have found something interesting in hip hop, because they're embracing what we used to embrace 30 years ago. We used to embrace guys, you know, who didn't give a fuck. I mean, you got guys going up with assless chaps and shit, like zero fucks given. They don't care. And there's just that masculine, animalistic aspect that rock has lost. I mean, we can hide behind the whole beards and looking like dumpster divers and hipsters or whatever the hell it is. Right. People are missing the point. It's about zero fucks giving and having a sense of style and playing aggressive music and having also something to say, something real to say, instead of hiding behind heavy music or growling and all that crap. I think that a lot of that stuff now has become very tired and overdone.
Now, how about speaking of zero fucks given? I mean, how about I saw you guys were banned from the Viper Room and some other clubs down in LA. Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's safe to talk about it now. Well, everybody knows the Viper Room story. I mean, if you haven't read about it, it's all online. I don't want to repeat it again. I don't really care to give it any more press. But there's another club, too. I'm just trying to think how many clubs were thrown out. I think there's like 3 or 4 right now that we're no longer welcome back to. But, yeah, it was another one involving some sort of, like, I call it the chicken incident. I don't want to name the place. If some people were there, we just literally just shut down the club. You know, the owner had a freak out. We brought out a chicken, and I started, you know, doing things to it before ending its existence. And then he just had a freak out, and then he shut the club down and kicked us off stage and threw everybody out of the place, and just, you know, called the cops, and we had to get the fuck out of there. So it was just like, yeah, I'm not sticking around. Bye bye. It is ridiculous, to be honest. It wasn't that big of a deal. We're trying to give people a show. But he just freaked out for whatever reason. Pretty tame compared to what I really want to do, but hey, you know whatever. And I think that's, we also, like, yeah, our manager also at the time freaked out as well, so I just fired his ass immediately. It's like, if you're not on board for what we're doing, then, you know, get lost.
So you know it's bad, like, when you scare, like, the people at the club, but when you're scaring your own manager, you have a little problem there.
I mean, he was, at the time, like, again, he was just trying to sell us off as, like, this, you know, girls, Motley Crue kind of thing, and we told him, like, yeah, that's not what we're about, not even close. Like, they did their thing, and, you know, that was great, and that's what they're known for. I respect that, but I'm not here to play catch-up or copycat. Right. I don't really give a damn. We're setting our own kind of thing going. I think, you know, he didn't really get where we were coming from. I think when the first time he met us, he was already kind of scared to begin with. I mean, you got to keep in mind, we're all like 6'2 plus, and we're kind of built like linebackers. We're not like too skinny, with the exception of like our bass player. So it was pretty funny.
Now, it's I saw it too. Like I did read the article about that whole Viper Room thing and all, and it said in there something about self-mutilation. So I mean, what do you are you guys like cutting yourselves too, or?
Yeah, there's some shows I'd use the chainsaw's edges and just cut my chest and stuff like that, and spray blood onto the audience and stuff. That was really early on, like just to freak people out and just get things going. What else? Yeah, doing things with animal parts and all that fun stuff.
All in the name of rock and roll.
Yeah, why not, man? If it ain't pissing people off, then you're not doing it right.
So, we talked about the videos you guys have been doing on YouTube, the covers and all that, but you also did some, you did a cover of the Wasp classic, Cries in the Night, and Kicks, Don't Close Your Eyes. Any chance of, like, recording versions of those for, like, upcoming album or EP or anything?
Yeah, we have a couple of ideas. Chet and I were throwing, back and forth. It would be cool to do an album filled with our influences, but we'll see. You'll have to wait and see.
How about acoustic too? I mean, 'cause that stuff sounds awesome. Any acoustic shows, or the world's not ready for that yet?
I mean, yeah, we're definitely down. We've been working on some stuff acoustically. That's the beautiful thing. Like a lot of these songs, even a song like SS, you'd think like No Way in Hell, but they can translate. Like we've been working on stuff and like they translate pretty well onto the acoustic. That's a little songwriting tip I'd like to give. It's like if you can write a heavy song, but it could go over well on multiple instruments or on, an acoustic version, then I think you're on the right track and you have a solid song.
Right.
That's what I found out anyway.
So, all right, so the Mask Morality Part 1, it came out earlier this year, so that leads me to ask me a Part 2. But you guys also released last week a new video, You Can't Hide from the Beast Inside, which is a killer freaking tune. But you guys actually, like, for the video, it was kind of different because it was more of a sexy video this time around with the, with the hot girl in it and all.
Yeah. I mean, she's great eye candy.
Absolutely.
But, yeah. There is more to the video. I mean, it's not just like pretty much a piece of ass for the sake of a piece of ass, but it's just depicting things like the dangers of succumbing to your darker temptations. Again, I mean, the song is basically a cover of from Fright Night, the '85 movie from Autograph.
Okay.
So some people might not know that, but we completely changed it around. So thanks, Autograph. And we just liked the song. We just made it our own, and we kind of made our own interpretation of what we thought the song would mean in correlation to Mask Morality Part 1. Basically, succumbing to your beastly aspects. We all have this ugliness within us, human beings in general, and either you can use it for good or bad, whatever you decide, whatever you consider to be good or bad. And use it to be creative and create something great, or you can use it to be, a piece of shit. Simply put.
So now, is Part 2 like already done and ready to go, or are you guys still working on that, or?
It's in the mixing process. I mean, we're looking hopefully to get it out by November, but I think people are going to be definitely surprised by the song. Again, we took it a step further. Hell, I'm being surprised. Like, it's just a lot of, let's just say, other influences are going to start seeping through, like what we were mentioning earlier on this podcast. So it's going to be kind of interesting. Don't worry, it still has its grit and balls, but it's going to also be, a different style of orchestration and stuff. You'll see. You're going to have to wait and see. But it's in the mixing processes right now.
Very cool. Super cool. Now, how about any like plans to come outside of the LA area, hit other states, or?
No, definitely. I mean, we want to definitely go on a full-on tour, but you got to understand, like, we're an independent band, and that shit's expensive. I mean, right now we're just seeing, I guess, where demand is. If like more than there's demand more in some other cities, we'll be there. But touring right in this day and age is really brutal. A lot of people say like, hey, like, you know, the European bands are doing it, so, but that's a completely different story. You know, everything there is close together and it's easy to go, you know, from one country to the next. Whereas, you know, the States are so spread out. You know, going from here to, say, I don't know, New York, or I guess you're in Philly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's brutal as far. I mean, but we definitely would love to do it. But we'll see where that goes. It'd be nice.
You know, it's kind of crazy. Like, the scene is just so weird right now. Like, because, you know, we've actually been promoting some shows throughout this past year. I just did a show this past Saturday night. I did a Halloween show, and I mean, there's like within an hour radius, there was like 3 other like rock metal shows going on. It's like, and it just pulls everybody in different directions. It's just a crazy thing right now.
Yes, I mean, that's the thing. Like, the whole business model of being in a band is nowhere near the same it was 30 years ago, let alone it was maybe 5 years ago. It's changing so quick and so fast.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of bands in our scene right now. Well, I wouldn't even call it a scene, to be honest. There's none left. But, like, that are just, you know, fading away because they're doing the whole, like, I guess, old school way of doing it, you know, going on tour and overstretching themselves before they're building a strong foundation in their current city before moving out.
Right.
I mean, granted, they probably have fans in Europe or on the East Coast or wherever. But, again, you're an independent band and you want to hit strong. So you don't really want to start stretching yourself out too much and going to all these places and spending. You want to come home and have a house, you know, and have a roof over your head, not be, you know, be able to pay your rent, not come home and just be like, oh, shit, okay, now I'm out of a job and, you know, I can't pay my rent. So you just got to be smart about these things nowadays. I think YouTube's one aspect to do it. That's one way to start growing your business. That's what we're focusing on. And not to say we won't tour, but also playing live locally and, you know, in the surrounding cities. But as far as going to the East Coast and stuff, as much as we'd love to, it have to be a demand and, you know, somehow to fund it because it's expensive.
Yeah, I mean, like, where you're seeing just that, like a lot of bands are going out there, you know, doing these little tours and stuff like that. And a lot of them even say, like, they're going out there and they're playing their set and they become, you know, T-shirt salespersons and merch salespeople to try to make that money. And anymore, it seems like I'm seeing, like, so many bands just putting out music. And I was just having this talk with a couple of my PR people I deal with. I'm like, you guys are bombarding me every day with so much music, like you can't even, like, focus on what it is. And I'm thinking to myself, like, it's like everybody's just throwing music out there now. And it takes, like, a band like you guys, guys have not only the music that hits, but the look that puts you above the rest, you know what I mean? It stands out. So, I mean, that's helpful in a way. And then, again, YouTube, which you guys use, I think is such a huge asset to everybody.
Yeah, especially nowadays. I mean, like you said, everybody and their sister is like in a band or playing music or can record music on their laptop. It's like no problem.
Right.
And there's such an overwhelming amount. Not all of it, a lot of it isn't quality. But it's, again, like anybody can do it nowadays.
Right.
I don't know. It's hard. You just a lot of bands nowadays got to just change their business model completely and stop going on these tours and, you know, overstretching themselves and spending a fortune to, you know, get across the country in some beat up van or these, like, for their egos, I think. I don't know. I think that's what most guys are ending up doing it for their egos. Like, oh, we're in a band. We need to tour. Like, no, you don't need to fucking tour. It's 2017. Change up the game, you know. If there's a demand, you know, there's like, you can fill up, if you know you can fill up, like, I don't know, 500 people in a club, you're certain you can do that, and you just crunch the numbers, hell, I'll be like, all right, you know, pack your bags and go give it a shot. But, I mean, if you're going on tour and you're filling up like 5 people at a bar, like, you're wasting your time. You're not doing yourself any favors. You're just, you know, stroking your ego. You got to really rethink the whole business model.
And how about, like, bands like that who turn around and, they're getting into a van and hooking up a trailer to a pickup and, they really, just like that, they don't have much of a following, and then they're going to hit you up and say, hey, I need this much of a guarantee. It's like, what? Really? Who?
Yeah, it's just like, you got to build yourself. I mean, you have this advantage. There's an advantage and also a disadvantage. You got an advantage of the online world. I mean, you got YouTube, you got all these social media as well, but like Facebook's kind of dying now, but that's a whole other story. But YouTube is like your bread and butter. I mean, you got to just think of fun, inventive, new ways to get people to get their asses up and get to your shows. Because a lot of people, there's so many, like you said, there's so many bands. It's like, oh, should I go see, this band, or should I go see, I'm saving my money to go see, I don't know, Maiden or something, or whatever, or Behemoth or whatever other band. You just gotta, and you also gotta give something special. You know what I mean? I mean, a lot of people just look at us like, oh, they'd have a gimmick. It's just, they think, they're attracting attention with the big hair. Yeah, of course, we're also attracting a lot of negative attention. Like, as well. You gotta understand. Yeah, a lot of people might like the music and take a look at us and be like, oh shit, this is no, I don't like it. Those type of people are really just not, they're not mentally endowed, I would say. But it goes both ways. You got to offer something special to get people out there, and you got to also work off the online world and get your name out there and start building an audience.
Right.
Just find your niche. Find something that works. I can't really give much advice because, we're doing our own thing as well, but, it's something, to work towards.
I'll tell you what, though, like even like you said about the negative attention, it's funny because a friend of mine, I've known this guy since high school, so we're talking 30-plus years now, and he was always into, like, the heavier stuff and the thrashier stuff and all. But, I mean, now over the years, he's just a true rock metalhead or whatever, and he has put up a few times. He's listening to you guys, and he'll always shoot me messages like, "I fucking love these guys, thank you," because he heard you guys on my show. He's like, and I'm kind of blown away because I thought the image might turn him off, but he freaking loves you guys. So
yeah, I mean, we got those fans as well. Like, they don't. That's part of the whole shock metal moniker that we have for ourselves, because it's not only like, oh, look how crazy we look. Like, nobody gives a shit how crazy we look. If I can wear a tutu and strap on a dildo on my forehead, nobody would give a rat's ass. They might be like, question my choice, but they don't. It's like you can't shock people anymore. You know what I mean? In this day and age. But the whole shock metal thing in general comes from the fact that you're looking at us and you're expecting a certain style of music, but then you get a whole other package. I mean, when you look at us, you're probably expecting. We get this all the time. Like, I don't know. I was expecting like Motley Crue or melodic rock or AOR or whatever. And then they fucking hear Enigma coming out and they're like, what the fuck? It's like, whoa. I mean, we've heard stuff like we're a mix of like, I don't know, Rat and Mayhem, and there's a lot of that aspect in our music because we listen to all that stuff. So we don't really close ourselves off to any genre.
Cool. All right, so where should we send everybody to go and buy the music, buy the merch, buy anything you guys got to, keep the music coming, and maybe a tour at some point?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, basically, our Facebook page, Salems Lott Band. You can go to our Instagram, Salems Lott Band as well, and our YouTube page. Just subscribe, and you'll have all the links there. I mean, and the stores online, salemslott.com, and what is our YouTube? I think it's Salems Lott Official. You can check out all the songs, covers, and a lot of cool shit coming up. A lot of cool stuff. I think people are going to be definitely impressed with Mask 2. Like, we pushed it again even further. So always changing it up. You'll see.
That's cool. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Well, dude, this has been great talking to you. And when that part comes out, let's talk again, and let's keep spreading that word to you guys.
No, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, man. Take care.
All right. Yeah, you have a good one. Bye-bye.